It's the most exciting time of the year if you're a film buff. It's Oscar season, and the Oscar nominations have been announced. In this video, we will discuss the 6 main categories at the Oscars, plus the music choices, and who and what I hope wins, and who and what will likely win. March 27th is the date, and let's hope this ceremony will be back to its long, bloated, and overhyped self. I know that sounds odd to say, but after last year's restricted ceremony due to the COVID-19 pandemic, this year Hollywood needs to pull out all the stops. We need the glitz and glam, we need the escapism that only the Oscars can provide. Hollywood needs to do what it does best, and pat itself on the back in a glorious way. Now let's firstly discuss the Best Picture nominees. They are as follows: Belfast, Coda, Don't Look Up, Drive My Car, Dune, King Richard, Licorice Pizza, Nightmare Alley, The Power of the Dog, and West Side Story. Now, in an attempt to be more inclusive, the Academy decided a few years ago to nominate 10 movies instead of the previous 5. Basically, this was done because due to lack of interest and viewership numbers dropping dramatically in watching the Academy Awards, the Academy decided to be more inclusive with its film choices. In other words, they needed to choose bigger budget films that more people had seen, as many of the art house picks that they do regularly choose are not always watched on a grand scale. The Academy has been called out of touch, and most people don't consume these highbrow intellectual flicks, as some people have termed them. That is why it is surprising for me that this year the Academy have not chosen to nominate the new Spider-Man movie, No Way Home, and Daniel Craig's last foray as the James Bond character in No Time to Die. These are 2 of the highest grossing movies from the whole of 2021. And yet the only film they've actually nominated with any sort of traction in the box office was Denis Villeneuve's Dune, an art house movie parading as a big budget one. Now, on a personal note, the film I'd love to see take home the Best Picture this year is Coda. The name stands for a child of a deaf adult, and that sums up the whole story. Beautifully crafted, touching, and well made. You see the story of the Rossi family as they deal with everyday life as being deaf people. This film really tugs the heartstrings, and for me, I'd love it to win Best Picture. Although this is highly unlikely, as the movie that I think will more than likely take the Best Picture this year is Jane Campion's Power of the Dog. Incredibly well made, great use of scenery, and fantastic acting from the leads Benedict Cumberbatch and Kirsten Dunst. Jane Campion, of course, who directed The Piano back in 1993, looks more than likely to get the Best Picture this year. Unless the Academy, of course, have a nostalgia trip and decide to vote for West Side Story. The musical, which has been remade after some 50 years, has put Steven Spielberg back onto the map, not that he ever left, and I feel this film could be an outsider in winning the Best Picture this year. Now let's turn our attention to Best Director. The nominees are as follows: Kenneth Branagh for Belfast, Paul Thomas Anderson for Licorice Pizza, Jane Campion for Power of the Dog, Steven Spielberg for West Side Story, and Rusi Chahamachi for Drive My Car. Now for me, this will likely go to Jane Campion for an intentionally slow, beautifully directed Power of the Dog, shot in her native New Zealand. The outside favourite could well be Steven Spielberg, as the Academy have always had a fondness for Steven and his, of course, glorious work. My favourite, though, would be Kenneth Branagh, for his personal love letter to his childhood growing up in Belfast. This is a beautifully touching film, and Branagh really steps up as a director while making the most of this personal take. I was, however, surprised that Denis Villeneuve from the movie Dune did not get a nomination for his beautiful work in this glorious movie. In the Best Lead Actor category, we have Javier Bardem for playing Desi Arnaz in Being the Ricardos, Benedict Cumberbatch as Phil Burbank in Power of the Dog, Andrew Garfield as Jonathan Larson in Tick, Tick, Boom, Will Smith as Richard Williams in King Richard, and Denzel Washington as Lord Macbeth in The Tragedy of Macbeth. For me, though, the favourite has to be Will Smith, playing Richard Williams in the film King Richard, who will more than likely make it third time lucky with this nomination, after previously not winning for his takes on Ali and in the movie The Pursuit of Happiness. Will Smith is superb in King Richard as he plays Richard Williams, the father of Venus and Serena Williams. My favourite, though, would be Andrew Garfield for Tick, Tick, Boom, where he plays Jonathan Larson, the music composer who died at just the age of 35 before realising his success with the famed musical Rent. Andrew Garfield is stunning in this film, and the fact that he'd learnt to sing and play piano in just 1 year before taking on this role was just outstanding, and he carries the film on his back. Now, in the Best Actress category, we have Jessica Chastain for The Eyes of Tammy Faye, playing Tammy Faye Baker, Olivia Colman, The Lost Daughter, playing Imelda Caruso, Penelope Cruz in Parallel Mothers, playing Janice Martinez Marino, Nicole Kidman in Being the Ricardos as Lucille Ball, and Kristen Stewart in Spencer as Diana, Princess of Wales. Now, for me at the moment, the likely win could well be Nicole Kidman for Lucille Ball in Being the Ricardos. I, however, found her performance, albeit good, somewhat staggering, as her lack of facial expressions just took me back. Olivia Colman also has an outside chance in The Lost Daughter, but for me the absolute favourite has to be Kristen Stewart as Diana, Princess of Wales. For an actress that partook in the awful Twilight movie series, where she showed absolutely no acting range, she has turned the corner and become a phenomenal actress. From the nuanced moves that she makes acting as the Princess of Wales, she really brings forth Diana to this big screen, and I just think this is a magnificent performance. Of course, there were two major snubs in this category. The main one would have been Lady Gaga, playing of course in The House of Gucci. I'm not too disappointed by this, as I found Lady Gaga to be okay in the role, although she of course brings a lot of clout to the acting nominations. For me though, the real snub is Emily Jones as Ruby Rossi in Coda. I just thought she was absolutely stunning, from her singing to the fact that she learned American Sign Language, and you'd think that she was one with having a deaf family her whole life. I thought she was brilliant in this role, and I definitely feel she's been snubbed. Let's turn our attention towards the Best Supporting Actor category. Here we have Ciarán Hinds playing Pop in Belfast, Troy Kotsur playing Frank Rossi in Coda, Jesse Plemons as George Burbank in The Power of the Dog, J.K. Simmons as William Frawley in Being the Ricardos, and Cody Smith-McPhee as Peter Gordon in The Power of the Dog. Now the favourite for this one has to be Cody Smith-McPhee. He is spellbinding as Peter Gordon, and his strange and odd performance will really take your breath away. My personal choices, though, would be either Ciarán Hinds as Pop in Belfast. He is one of the show stealers in the whole movie, and I loved his performance and his personal interaction with his grandson, played by Jude Hill, in the movie. But the actor I'd really love to win this award this year is Troy Kotsur as Frank Rossi in Coda. Being a deaf actor, I thought he played this role perfectly. His interactions with Emily Jones are fantastic, and he just brings a human aspect to this whole movie, from making you laugh to making you feel true deep emotions. I'd love for him to win it, although that is highly unlikely. In the Best Supporting Actress category, we have Jessie Buckley in The Lost Daughter, Ariana DeBose in West Side Story, Judi Dench in Belfast, Kristen Dunst in Power of the Dog, and Angeline Ellis in King Richard. This category surprised me, as there is no way that Judi Dench deserves to be nominated, especially over Katrina Balfe, who is far more deserving of a nomination, playing Ma in Belfast as well. For me, this is the Academy voting Judi Dench in based on name alone. They may as well have given Meryl Streep a nomination just for the fun of it. I personally loved Kirsten Dunst's performance in The Power of the Dog, and it's wonderful to see her at the top of her game once again. Jessie Buckley just keeps getting better and better, and she continues to impress me. But for me, it comes down to Angeline Ellis, who is absolutely fantastic in King Richard as the mother of the Williams sisters. But somehow I feel Ariana DeBose might just edge her out in the Best Supporting Actress category, as I do feel West Side Story needs to get some acclaim this year. And finally, let's discuss the Best Original Song for the year. I believe it will be a third time in a row for a James Bond song, as No Time to Die by Billie Eilish will be the sure likely winner. I did enjoy the song Down to Joy from Belfast by Van Morrison, and Being Alive from Beyoncé Knowles is a nice song from King Richard. I was surprised though that from the movie Encanto, the song We Don't Talk About Bruno wasn't submitted, as it's been a massive hit in both the UK and the US of A, being number one on both charts. Instead, they submitted the song Des Oroantes from the same film, also by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Power of the Dog has taken home 12 nominations this year, and Jane Campion is the first woman to receive more than one Academy Award nomination for Best Director. It is also the first time a film directed by a woman has received more than 10 nominations. Troy Kotsur became only the second deaf actor in Academy Award history to be nominated, after Marlee Matlin, who also stars in Coda, who won the Oscar in 1987 for her role in Children of a Lesser God. All in all, the 94th Academy Award nominations are pretty fair and unsurprising. There are a few snubs here and there, but that is to be expected. In terms of diversity, I think it's the most diverse it's ever been, as the Academy tries to balance equally outstanding filmmaking with equality. And this year I think they've found a pretty good balance in between. I cannot wait for the 27th of March to see who takes home the glorious statuette. And the Oscar goes to